What's good, what's great, and what's going on, everybody? It's another episode of the Garage Talks podcast, live here in ALCHEMII Studios. And today, I am joined by one of my normal guest co-hosts, who's sitting to the left of me right now. Mr. Omar, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
All right, cool. Anyway. I didn't like that.
Oh my gosh.
Who we really came here to see, what you guys are really attracted for, why you clicked on this video.
Oh my gosh.
In the first place, we have the amazing Megs here.
The marvelous.
Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh. Y'all
How
are
you
so
doing
sweet.
today? How you
I'm
doing
good.
today?
I'm excited to be
You
here.
looking good?
Thank
She is
you.
the style is dripping like
Dripping.
got
I
the
thought I
sauce
came
on
here
it.
with a little
Always.
something with the dashiki. She was like, nah, you ain't doing shit.
You can't have an off day, honestly. Like, you never know what's going to happen.
Honestly.
Never know.
Honestly,
be
and being
prepared.
a makeup artist, I'm sure you cannot
Yeah.
be seen having an off day. What's that like? Tell me a little bit about it.
It's pretty crazy because I'm not only just like your average makeup artist, I also do social media. So I kind of have like both sides of things, which is hard too because I feel like a lot of social media people like think they're makeup artists, and a lot of real makeup artists like really don't respect social media people. So I'm kind of in between both of that because I do both sides. So I'm kind of trying to prove that it's possible to be knowledgeable in both and be able to properly execute both. But yeah, it's interesting, especially because I have some high profile clients. So I've had some times
Name some names.
Oh, gosh.
Names and names.
Yeah, so if you guys are familiar with social media artists, one of my main clients is Tana Mojo. So she's pretty big. She just married Jake Paul. So
Jake Paul. I've heard of him.
yeah, so I feel like we all have either him or Logan. But yeah, so Tana's one of my main clients. I work with her often. So if you guys have seen her MTV reality show, you may have saw my little cameos of getting her ready and just being around like the social media stars that come with that. So just everyone in her house who's pretty well known with her. And then I used to work for Amanda Cerny, and that led me, I've done David Spade's makeup, and then I also work with Taylor Gray, who's an up-and-coming artist. I tour the world with her. So on the professional aspect, those are kind of like my clients right now, like my key clients. I've done a lot of like social media models and stuff like that, but those are ones that I feel like most people would recognize.
Okay, dope. What are you working on right now? Anything special? Any cool projects?
Okay, so with doing social media, I feel like you're always kind of working on something because I'm always trying to improve on my content and just kind of like, step up the next level with every post. So from not only like working on my own stuff, I feel like I've been really inspired by the show Euphoria lately. So a lot of my content has been very, colorful and just kind of out of the box.
Do you like that show?
Oh my gosh, I
Is it a
love
good
that show. It like
Wait, what
changed my
show
life.
is that? Wait.
It's
What
with,
show?
it's with Zendaya, right?
Zendaya, yes.
Zendaya? Zendaya? Dude.
Zendaya. No, yeah, so it's a show about these kids who are going through high school, and Zendaya is a drug addict, and there's just all these different stories that are kind of traumatic, but they also, in a way, I feel like a lot of people can relate to. But the makeup in that is just so cool. Like, that's, like I have stones on my face right now, so that's kind of like the vibe of it, just very like different and being bold and a little bit out of the box. The soundtrack is just absolutely amazing too. So it's just a great show. But so I feel like a lot of my content has kind of been inspired by that. But I've been working on a big project actually. I kind of want to shake up the beauty industry a little bit. I feel like everything is so surface level in the beauty world, or it tends to be. A lot of people. You see an Instagram profile, you see the highlights of these people's lives, and you see like, oh, they have a nice car, they have this, they have nice, perfect body, perfect this, every image is perfect. And should I stop? Sorry.
No, you're good.
So yeah, you see these profiles of these people, and when you're scrolling, it's just all the highlights of their life. So it's all those moments where it's, their perfect, outfit,
good,
all this
perfect
stuff. Yeah,
moments. Yeah.
And to me, it's kind of like, why do you follow that? Like, what's like, yeah, that's cool, but like, why do I identify to this person, and why do I follow them? So I ask myself that question often because I feel like sometimes social media can be toxic. So for me, I wanted to come out with something where I shared a little bit more about myself, be a little vulnerable with my followers, and that's pretty much all I'll say right now. But yeah, we're working on a big project for that and hoping to get some other influencers and upcoming people involved, just to kind of shake things up a little bit and get to know people more.
No, I like that because I feel like when you portray like this perfect image all the
Yeah.
time, and you have so much influence, it makes everyone else feel as if, yo, I need to be perfect. When in reality,
Yeah.
like there's a balance. Like you got this and you got that. That's gonna be dope.
Or
Like,
even just like unattainable. Like it makes like
True.
You know, there's upcoming artists who are younger who look at my stuff and it's just like that's so unattainable. Like she's doing so well. She's doing this and that, and it's like yeah, but they don't know all the struggles I've been
They
through to
don't.
get there. They don't know waking up at early times. Me, you know, I book a job, it falls through. Me being upset about that. Like they just see the jobs that I book and the hype and the campaigns I end up shooting, but they don't see how many times I'm told no and all that stuff. So I just think that's important for artists to keep in mind too, and just like upcoming social media people, models, all that stuff, and in everyone's realm that, you know, you see all these highlights, but there's so much more behind that.
Of course. And I know there's a lot that just goes into that field of social media just
Yeah.
in general. What got you on that journey to say like, hey, I want to start this specifically? What took you there?
Yeah, so social media I feel like was a cool way because I grew up acting, singing, and dancing my whole life. So I've always been in like entertainment industry. I've been hosting and all that stuff growing up. So when my mom said I could wear makeup, and I was like super stoked. And she laid everything out and was like, I'll come in, I'll show you how to do it. And I was too eager, so I just did it myself because I was like, I'm just going to do it. And I walked in the room and she was like, who did your makeup? And I was like, me. And she's like, no, really? I was like, no, like I did. And she's like, Megs, no way. So I just
wait,
kinda,
how old were you when
that
this first
time
happened?
I was 11, but I have pictures of me 4, 5, 6 years old holding like liners and stuff, and my cousins are just covered in lipsticks and eyeshadows. So it's something I've been drawn to literally since day one.
It was love at first sight, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, so I discovered YouTube in 7th grade, and I saw like Candy Johnson, Michelle Phan. Michelle Phan is one of my biggest inspirations, and seeing her start and me being like, wow, I can like mix the world of entertainment and beauty and be able to teach, like just all that together sounded so good. So I started that in 7th grade, and that's when I was like, okay, let's give this a try. But I actually ended up going through some stuff at school. I was new to the school, started with social media, and I was actually being sexually assaulted in class. And once that kind of got taken care of, and once that kid had to go to juvenile hall and police were involved, the kids were mad that their best friend got in trouble. So instead of just attacking me at school, giving me threats to, you know, be beaten up and stuff like that, they decided to attack me online. I couldn't take it. I was already new to the school. I already didn't really understand why these people were doing these things to me and why no one was doing anything about it, you know, and like why me saying no wasn't enough and why me pushing them wasn't enough. So I stopped social media because I was so embarrassed and I just couldn't take it. So that was in 7th grade, so I'm about 11, 12 years old. And then
Wait, at that point in time, sorry, excuse me. What platforms were you on?
So that was YouTube. So YouTube and Facebook.
Okay, gotcha.
But that's when I started YouTube, and YouTube was really picking up. Not really picking up, but those are when the people that started then are just so big in this industry now. Like millions, 15 million followers, just so successful. And I beat myself up because like that could have been me, you know. So, but yeah. So then my junior year of high school, I looked back on those videos. I still did makeup on other people, but not socials. And my junior year of high school, I looked back on those videos and I saw that they had thousands of views. And in my
your old ones?
Yeah, because I stopped, but I kept them up. And I looked back and they had a ton of views, and I was just like, why did I let anyone deter me from doing this? Like, these have, even if a few thousand people saw it, it's like, why did I let these boys, if anyone too, take me away from this? And so my junior year of high school, I started back social media, and that's when it started to be a little saturated, so it was a little bit harder. But from then on, I've just been grinding with it, and I've gotten campaigns and different things like that. And now I feel like I'm finally starting to taste success. So it's taken a long time, and I'm nowhere near where I want to be. So.
Of course. And I know you touched a little bit on like your anxiety and like how that affected you mentally before you got really into the influencing game. How do you view anxiety now, and like not even just anxiety, but people speaking on you and just the general idea of being an influencer? Because I know a lot of people are under the general assumption that if you're a person who's more famous or you're doing better, you have more followers, you should be more immune to it. Yeah. Is that necessarily true?
No, that is not true at all. And there's so many big influencers that have, you know, like I said, they portray this perfect life, but they have really bad anxiety. They have really bad depression. And, you know, there's so many hate comments and stuff. And it's really like training your mind to know that those people are behind a screen. They have their phone. They have the protection of that. They might even have a fake name. Like, we don't even know who these people are. But just kind of like retraining your mind to not let that bug you, because when you already do have anxiety and depression or anything like that, like I've dealt with anxiety and just like, you know, cyberbullying in general, people speaking on your behalf, people making comments, you know, and when I first started, it was there, but now it's there too. And like, for example, working with Tana Mojo, she has ton of followers, and Jake Paul too. He has like 15 million followers. So imagine how many eyes are seeing work I do on her. So a lot of people be like, oh, her eyebrow was crooked. And it's like, well, you don't know the circumstances that I went through that day to try to get that eyebrow on her face. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't take in consideration those things because they don't know. So I just see the hate. So I can have like 45 amazing comments, but that one shitty comment just
So
shits
do you like go through, like, will you actually like do you go through the comments to like to get affirmation of some
even
sort?
that, but just to see who's engaging, like on my own personal stuff, because like I said, I do both sides. So I'm posting for myself, you know, and I'm also having my clients post and tag me, so I'm seeing comments from their fan base as well. So it's both sides. But yeah, I check, you know, I definitely check my own, just because, you know, answering comments and stuff, not only one, connecting with your audience helps you grow, and I feel like then I have a bond with these people. But when you're checking, you know, there's like thousands of comments, so I'll read a few of them like on my clients, but you know, sometimes reading them, it's people can be harsh. Like,
they really can.
Yeah, and it's like, you don't know me. And then if I reply, this is a funny thing, sometimes I'll reply and I'll be like, oh, like, thanks, you know, just like kind of being sarcastic, and they'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe you replied, I'm such a big fan. And it's like, you just like shit talks me in my work, but it's crazy. So then at that point you kind of realize these people might not even mean it. They're just being bitter.
Well, sometimes I think maybe they're literally just giving their opinion and they don't mean it in any type of way. But
they're just, or they just feel like I don't know. You just why you gotta? I would never throw that out. Like, I don't like to put negative energy or wishes towards anyone. So to me, it's like, what are you doing? Sitting in your house, you're watching this video, and we're like, oh, I'm gonna talk shit on Megs. Like, why? Like, you know. But just dealing with that.
What I've come to realize, and like, I guess kind of understand about people who comment and say things like that is just that it's not a reflection upon you.
No.
A lot of times it's a reflection upon them and how they feel.
It's them 100%.
Misery loves company.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People who are upset love to be upset and make other people hurt people, you know? And I can
100%.
use a bunch of different cliches to justify exactly how this feels, because there's so many on this subject, because there's so, especially nowadays, there's so many people doing it, especially with the larger outreach that every individual person has.
Yeah.
It's gratifying to some people to bring you down to their level and make you feel like they feel.
Yeah.
And what do you say to the people who are just like, oh, well, turn off your phone? Like,
well,
you can just, if you're being cyberbullied.
What do you mean turn off your phone?
Why don't you just turn off the notifications,
Everyone
or
in
just
their
not look at the comments, or, you know,
Yeah.
even if it's not turning off, because obviously
Yeah,
turning
yeah.
off
Well,
the phone,
but no, people say those things like, well, why do you even look? Or like, why do you
Yeah.
not? It's like, you know, every person has curiosity. And, you know, a lot of people, whether they want to say it or not, we do seek validation as humans. And, you know, we do see those comments, and I'm curious. And, you know, when those things that saying turn off your phone, you got to remember, like, so many people have social media, and it's like, oh, just get off social media. But you got to remember, if you're that kid in high school that all your friends have social media and you're the one being bullied, and it's like, oh, well, why can't he just turn off his phone? It's like, well, he also, why should he have to leave something that everyone else is a part of? You know, like, I don't know. I think the whole turn your phone off thing is just, it goes to so much more than that, you know?
It really is, because, I mean, even if you did see something crazy, you turned off, like, you still...
It's in your head.
Exactly. It doesn't go
you
away.
already saw it. Yeah, and that affects you. So I think, too, like, especially with, like, upcoming generations, and, like I was telling you guys before this, like, speaking at schools and colleges, that's something I always say, because you got to remember, like, you know, kids are all over social media, and we are so all over social media. It's a big part of our culture. It's a big part of our daily lives now, whether we like it or not. And it's learning that, like you said, those hurt people. Those people are, you know, you gotta be strong in yourself, but it's so hard to also train people's minds to ignore those and to think that, you know, to think, okay, well, this person obviously feels like they're negative with themselves to say that to me, like that. You have to put up these like little barriers and protect your energy, protect yourself. But it's just instilling that in people, and, you know, reassuring that it happens to a lot of people too. So, you know, for those of you watching that are being cyberbullied or get these hate comments, I get them too. And you figure it out the best way to deal with them, and you know that it's not personal, and they're behind a screen, and you leave it at that.
Yeah.
What type of advice would you give to, like, somebody that's really trying to do exactly what you're doing, whether like either lane, like if it's makeup artists, or like they're trying to get started in like their social media career and get that popping? What advice would you give them?
Oh, number one thing I would say is being a good person. I know that sounds like very cliche, but it's true. In both industries, it has helped me so much. Just being real, being myself, being positive, and being a hard worker. I feel like that one difference between me and other makeup artists is there's some sassy makeup artists. There's some sassy social media influencers too, but they'll walk on set with an attitude and they shoot, they get their paycheck and they leave. The difference is I walk in, I make sure I say hi to everyone in the room. I make sure to make that connection. I make sure that they enjoyed my company so that way I'm coming back. And, you know, for my clients too, I make sure to build a relationship with them. I nurture my clients a little bit and they feel that trust and that bond with me to where, yeah, they can have someone else do their makeup just as good, if not better. But if I'm on tour with you for 30 days, would you rather be with me who is able to bond with you, connect with you, and work with your whole team, or someone who has an attitude that's doing your makeup great? So one thing I'd say is just be a good person and do what you want to do. Don't let other people like pull you away from that. That's one big thing that looking back at, you know, how those boys attacked me online is like, I let them pull me away from something that I'm still doing today. So it's like I could have been even farther and I let them pull me back. So whether you want to do, say you're doing social media and you want to be posting close-up eye looks versus far away, maybe that's not trending. But if that's what you want to do and you're passionate about those certain photos or that certain content, post it. There's people who love all different types of content and people will find you.
100%.
That's most def.
100%.
Yeah.
If there's anything I've learned, especially with this podcast, is that if you have an idea and something that you want to pursue, and you give enough passion and you put enough into it, there are people who are willing to go with you and help you along your path. And I say that while I'm looking at all the members of my amazing cast because they've been so influential. So let that just be a guide to anybody out there who, if you're looking at us, and because I know there are a few people who have reached out to me and say what we're doing is inspirational to them. And as much as I appreciate this, that's nothing you can't do. As a human being, as just a person, it's nothing that's unattainable within the reach of a normal person. Everything that we're doing here is brought to you. We're FUBU here, man. It's for us, by us here, dog. 100%. And
Most definitely.
One thing that I find that really deters that the most of you starting your path and getting on your path are the people around you, and especially your parents. You know, there's a saying that's 90%. You are 90% of the top 5 people you're around. If you're living at home, on average, or even if you just have a good family relationship, on average, those people are most likely your parents, especially at our age. So what do you say to people whose parents, because obviously they come from a different generation, they don't really understand, and they're not able to conceptualize what it is that we're doing here. What do you say to people like that who just have a constant nagging ear, like negative voice in your ear? Yeah,
I mean, I feel like I identify with this 100%. I'm doing one of the most unconventional things, and I'm freelance in both sides of these. So if I'm not pushing for myself, I don't have work tomorrow. So I have to really go out there and make sure that I'm setting up my career, I'm setting up my next move, because if not, no one's going to do it for me. You know, I kind of have this, not necessarily the nagging, but the struggle with my parents. My parents support me. My mom is very, very supportive, and my dad is supportive, but he's also a correctional officer in the workforce. So his vision on me is I need to be, you know, in a career with benefits and with retirement, and I need to be a policewoman or a correctional officer.
Something more stable. Something
super stable, and just something that would rip all my creativity away from me. And that's something that I struggle with and I fight with, is I consistently have to prove myself, you know, to him. And you know, even though he's like, yeah, I support you, I still have to prove myself consistently to be like, you know, I'm doing this. So with those parents that are like that, I would say you kind of gotta, at a point, you gotta find a way to separate your views too. And even though your parents might be like, hey, that's not the smartest move, if it's something you're really passionate about and you feel like you can do this, go for it. And I know that's hard, because especially if you're at home with your parents and you're hearing that consistently, it's hard. But you have to at some point be able to separate yourself on, you know, this isn't you and your family's life. This is your life as an individual. And yeah, if you do want to help your family, you know, I do. And with my individual life, I will help them. But it's not, if I'm just pleasing my parents, I'm not pleasing myself. In the long run, I'm not going to be happy. So I feel like there's a point where you have to separate yourself a little bit and think, this is my life. I'm passionate about that, especially in your 20s. I feel like go for it. If you're in your 20s, you don't really have much to lose, you know? Like, if you, this is your time to really push for it, and if it's not working, end of your 20s, 30s, then start figuring out what's your next move. But when you're in your 20s, I feel like go for it, run, push it. If you want to do it, try it, no matter what your parents say.
No, that's most definitely true. What are some of the things that like through that situation, like your parents are telling you one thing, you feel something different? What are the things that motivate you to like keep pushing forward, or even like your motivation in general? Like you got a good friend around you, or like what drives you, what pushes you?
So you know, with my family, it almost sounds bad, but a big part of my push is proving my dad wrong. And
I feel that.
you know,
That's one hell of a push.
yeah, and it's me and I have a close friend that has the same kind of thing going on. And again, he does support me, but he's not fully understanding. Also with my dad, he still has a flip phone, doesn't really know how to work a computer and stuff like that, because he's a hard worker in a physical labor. He never really took the time to understand computers and social media, so he doesn't see my social media, he doesn't see my campaigns. So to him it's like, well, what are you doing? So a big part of that pushes me is, one, I want to prove him wrong. And another big thing is I want to help my family. I want to get to that point where I can pay off any family debt there is. I can, get my mom a house. I can really help that. And to be honest, I just think of my younger self, and that really pushes me, because I remember that girl who 11, 12 years old, having this drive, wanting to do something. And, all through high school, all through middle school, I've had teachers literally walk up to me and be like, you are absolutely insane. Like, you need to go to college and you need to figure this out, because this isn't a career. And I've had makeup artists tell me, if you want to do social media, you need to quit doing makeup. You're never going to make it as both. That's a joke. You're a joke. So, I've consistently had to prove myself, and I'm really young I'm 22.
Yeah,
being
that's
in
what
my
I was
industry
going to
so
say.
young. Yeah, especially in the pro artistry world. Social media world, yeah, there's a lot of young social media people, but pro artistry world, I'm looking at 30-year-olds, 35-year-olds, and then there's me. I walked in at 18 years old, and they looked at me and laughed. I had one guy literally look at me and laugh and kind of push me aside. And then at the end of the class, he was talking to his boyfriend, and I was like, oh, he's talking to his boyfriend, how cute. He's giving him a speech. And I look up, and he's talking to me, and he asked to assist for me. He was 35 years old. We were working on a TV show. I just turned 18, walked into the show, and he just laughed at me when I walked in. And we ended the day with him asking to assist for me. So a big thing is proving myself, and, I just want to make it. Yeah. Yeah, and it's young people can do some crazy stuff, and millennials and young 20-year-olds, people who are driven,
Well, at such a young age, when did you start to see like a booming, how did you go from being in high school to being on tour with a whole bunch of different people?
Yeah.
When did that start? When did the transition?
Yeah.
You just overnight, or
No.
tell us about that?
No, so, in high school, I did makeup on other people for homecomings and dances and stuff like that, little pay me $30, I'll do your makeup, just trying to get the practice in. And then I graduated, and I was working at Rodrigo's. I was a hostess, and I was also working at the taco bar. And so I would work that at night, and then during the day I found a photographer, and I just was like, hey, can I work for you? And can I do makeup for you? And that got me to meet so many social media models, and that booked me to other jobs. And then I met Amanda Cerny, and I traveled with her for a year, flew to Morocco, worked with French Montana, Daddy Yankee, Red One, all them. And
Ooh.
yeah.
Okay. You did
Yeah.
Daddy Yankee's makeup?
Well, I was doing her makeup for it, but yeah. So once I was with her, and I really saw.
Daddy Yankee gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, they're all French is one of the nicest people ever. He is a great guy, but yeah. So once I was kind of there, and I kind of got the taste of this could really be something, and then I just pushed word of mouth really helped me, again, being kind, being a good person. And and then I met Tana, and I'd offer people the first makeup for free just to get my foot in the door. And then so they'd be like, oh shit, yeah, I'll do makeup for free, she's so silly, I don't even have to pay her, thinking I'm naive. And then they're like, oh shit, I really like this girl. And then I get to negotiate my own rate that I feel comfortable with, and then now I'm their personal makeup artist. I'm working with Tana for almost a year now, so it's crazy. And from that, meeting Taylor and her just really vibing with me, and me being able to be really nurturing to her and take me on tour, and being able to just grow. And I've traveled the world now. It's insane, but it's all been hard work, word of mouth, and just pushing myself.
100%. I feel that's a fantastic story, and we have had such a good time learning more about you and everything you're about. We're gonna join you shortly. We're gonna take a little break here. But we'll be back. I think we're doing a whole episode this time. It's going to be one episode for you guys instead of two, split it up. So yeah, you guys won't see shit, but we'll be back. Peace.
We'll be right back. Stick around.
All right, guys, welcome back. Another